Hey friend, this is Jennifer, and this is the Jennifer Allwood Show, the podcast for women who want to learn how to live an intentional life or build their creative business. I'll be giving you my very best business tips, bringing you interesting guests, giving you a daily dose of Jesus, and I'm committed to always keeping it real. Grab a cup of coffee and let's dive in. I'm so honored that you're here. Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. This is podcast episode 138, where we're going to talk about the numbers behind the numbers. I think that's supposed to be the sweet title for this. There's like a million other titles that I would like to say, like, what in tarnation's going on in the internet? Hashtag blessed, hashtag humble, hashtag, but I made $9 million last week. It's a trend that I'm seeing, friends. It's a trend that I'm seeing with people really throwing around their numbers on the internet, and I don't love it. And I want to tell you why. And I also want to give you like this look behind the curtain as someone who's been in business now for almost 20 years. And I've been in business online for just a fraction of that. I think this is my 6th year of business in the online space. So for all practical purposes, I'm still kind of an internet baby, but I know enough now. Here's one of the things that I've learned, by the way. One of the things I've learned is in order to teach you guys things, I don't need to know all the things, right? I don't need to know all the things about all the things before I teach. In fact, I've got a cute little coffee mug right here that says teacher on it. What I do need to know is just a little bit more than you. I heard a statistic the other day that I need to know 10% more than you in order to teach. So I feel like being in the online space at this point for 6 years and making a very profitable living in the online space, that I do have the, what do I want to call it? Like I've earned the right to talk about some things that are behind the curtain at this point, and that you can trust what I'm saying to be true because I've been in the space long enough. It's not like I've been here 10 minutes and I'm making like some thoughts and giving you some big opinions. Nope, I've seen a real trend here in the last year or so, and I want to talk about it. So we're going to talk about what numbers in business really matter, but unfortunately, what numbers people are throwing at you to dazzle you with their numbers, and they just don't matter, guys. They just don't matter. They're vanity matrix. They feel gross to me, and a lot of times they're not even an accurate, picture of how healthy their business is. So then at the end of this podcast, I'm really going to give you the only numbers that matter, the only measure of success you really need to be measuring yourself against, and we'll go from there. So as you're listening to this podcast, there should be like a little arrow button at the bottom of your phone. It's like, it looks like just a sideways arrow, almost like what's on the Instagrams. Or wait, never mind. You're on the podcast. You're going to click the 3 little buttons, I think. It's like 3 little dots, and then you click that and you have the word share. So do me a hot solid right now. Share this podcast with somebody that you know is in business who's going to want to hear this, okay? And then we're going to get started. Real quick, I'm just going to give a fast shout out to one of you sweet, precious business owners who has left a review on my podcast. You guys know we have over 1,200 reviews on my podcast right now. Like you're awesome. I need to send each of you like a Christmas gift. So this podcast review came from Tangled Twine Company. So go look her up, Tangled Twine. And she is new to business. She started her small handmade women's accessory business, Tangled Twine Company, a year ago. And she said, I'm not sure where Jen has been for this whole year, but I started hunting for new business podcasts, and the advice that Jennifer offers is truly amazing, talking about relatable experiences, great advice, a little bit of Jesus, and a kick that we all need sometimes. So thank you, Tangled Twine. And I do just pray God's hedge of protection over you, your family, your business. I pray that everything you set your hand to, you prosper, that God would give you more creativity, handfuls on purpose, and that your business would be an absolute blessing to you and your family in Jesus' name. Amen. So, all right, let's talk about the numbers. By the way, Cindy, who's our community manager for, the 2,500 of you in my inner circle, she's like, I love it when you sing. And I feel like when Cindy said that, that's given me permission to just sing all the time. So I apologize in advance. So let's talk about the numbers that matter and the numbers that don't. Here's the thing with people throwing out numbers like, I made $25,000 last week. I've got a $3 million business. I just did $25,000 in a launch, all of those things. Here's my issue with it, okay? My issue with it is what I feel like it does is I feel like it signals to people who are working really hard to grow their business. I feel like it gives them the signal of, wow, girl, well, you only did, $2,000 last week. Like you're taking an L, in the words of my teenage boys. I feel like it puts out this signal like you're not doing enough. It's not profitable enough. You're never going to get to this level, etc. A lot of the numbers that people are throwing out at you, they're not giving you the full picture. They're not actually giving you an accurate representation. It's like wearing a fake Gucci belt. But when it comes to numbers, a lot of what people are throwing at you are what are called vanity matrix. Okay. So vanity matrix mean this. It means I'm telling you, I've got a bajillion people on my Facebook page and they make me feel all puffed up and all great. But the truth is I got 2 comments on a post. Vanity matrix means like, I'm telling you, I just had a $500,000 launch. But what I didn't tell you is that 60% of those sales were affiliate sales, and I have to pay out 40% on those 60%. And that I also spent $100,000 on Facebook ads. So of that $500,000 launch, I actually only kept $75,000. This is what I'm talking about. A vanity matrix. A vanity matrix. It makes people feel really good about themselves. But here is like my heart. Here's what I need for you guys to know. There's like this constant conflict of, well, do I tell people how well my business is doing because I want them to know that I'm legit? This is how I personally feel. Do I tell them the revenue that our business made last year because I see all these other business coaches doing it? And is that the only way that I can really prove to people that our business is successful? And then this other part of me is like, but I don't want to do that because my best friends from high school follow my page and it feels gross. And they know that that's not authentic to Jen. And the truth is, at the end of the day, I want to know in my knower that I've been successful on my terms, regardless of what the industry thinks. And I want to know that my numbers are solid. And do I need to prove that to the public? Or do I need to depend on what the Bible talks about? Let God fluff you up or let the voices of other men fluff you up and not fluff yourself. And so this is what I'm talking about when I talk about vanity matrix. I feel like they make other people feel like they're not doing enough. They're not growing enough. They're not selling enough. They're not enough. But the truth is their numbers aren't really accurate. Okay. So we're going to make this right now, like into a no spin zone, into a no smoking mirror zone. And I'm going to give you a look behind the numbers so that you really know when people are throwing out their numbers to you, what you need to kind of be like taking into consideration. I would rather you and I be over here like privately slaying the heck out of our business than publicly trying to convince other people we're super successful. I would rather that you have money in the bank than a fancy car in your driveway that you're laying on top of taking your pictures. I would rather you have money in the bank than you be taking all these vacations and trying to make people like feel jealous about your lifestyle. I would rather you have money in the bank than the fancy house and the pictures of me walking out the front door and, gross, nasty. Okay. So listen, we're going to talk about what really matters, the data that really matters. We're going to talk about some math because data don't lie. All right. So here you go. Number 1, so many people want to impress you with their number of followers. Okay. And there's times I fall guilty to this. I do have 360,000 followers on my Facebook page. I've got over 500,000 followers altogether. Now listen. Even though I have those amount of followers, that doesn't mean I have great engagement. That doesn't mean I have great reach. That doesn't mean that those followers are the right followers. If you guys remember, my background is in decorative painting. So I came out of the whole HGTV, decorate your house, faux finishing industry. Okay. So half of my followers, I'm just like totally letting you into my business right now. Half of my followers still follow me for that. This is why you can sometimes look at somebody that has 1 million followers and crickets on their page. I literally wrote something down. Okay. I opened up somebody's Facebook page that I follow a little bit ago. It is a person that has a 1.5 million Facebook followers. Okay. A gentleman that is very popular. And we have no need for names here, but I looked at the last couple posts that he did. One post had 8 comments. One post had 15 comments. One post had 2 comments. With 1.5 million followers, you only get 2 comments. Now, this is a signal to me that we've got an issue, okay? Here's the issue that it was. Either that person has purchased followers or that person has done a huge pivot like I have in who their following base is, or a lot of their followers are from countries that are not here. And so that happens a lot of times. They've spent just a ton of crap load of money on Facebook ads, or they just do a horrible job with relationship on their social media. Because right after that, I want to tell you, I went and looked at one of my students, Tracy, who used to be in my inner circle. In fact, I think Tracy still is. She teaches my paint finish of the month. Tracy from Tracy's Fancy, I think has like 24,000 followers. So we've got 1.5 million and we got 24,000. 1.5, 24,000. Tracy's last couple Facebook posts had 30 comments, 57 comments, 134 comments, and 345. Dun, dun, dun. So while the 1.5 million number feels really fancy, the engagement's crap on a lot of those pages. It's crap. I would so much rather you be Tracy. In fact, let's all comment. How can we be Tracy? Hashtag be Tracy. You don't need a bajillion followers, but you do need the right ones. And you do need engagement of those followers. Like if you have a huge page, but nobody's talking back, who cares? Who cares? We used to spend money every day on like ads when I was really trying to grow this page. And we have throttled that back to $5 a day. And I'm going to tell you why. I like to keep money in my Facebook ads account and keep doing ads every day because it does really help for when we go to do launches and we really ramp up our Facebook ad strategy. So it helps to continue paying every day. Also, tip for those of you who have a business page. If you have a business page and anything goes sideways, if you think you can call 1-800-Facebook, you are wrong. R-O-N-G, wrong. That was a joke, by the way. I know how to spell wrong. You can't do that. You can't call 1-800-help me, Mark. You can't do it. So what you can do is you can go to the Facebook help. You can submit a ticket. Or if you are doing Facebook ads and you have an open ads account, you can get a hold of people, a real life person through your Facebook ads manager. So for that reason alone, do stinking ads. Don't turn them off. Do stinking ads, okay? But I really want you to just understand that when I got a book deal, part of the book deal was not only that I have a big audience, but I have an engaged audience. Okay. Right now, you guys, if I go to my Facebook Insights on this page with 350,000 followers, I have a reach of about 800,000 followers a month. That's really good. That's great engagement. Yes, the algorithm stinks. Yes, all of the stuff with Facebook stinks. The fact that they're giving now more priority to groups, even though I hate groups, the fact that it's harder for businesses. Yes, it all stinks. But still, until you and I are smart enough to come up with a social media that we are going to do differently, then we have to play by the rules. At the end of the day, we have to play by the rules. So I want you to know that the number of followers, while I know that it's easy to look at somebody's account and go, well, I could never make what they're making because I don't have that many followers. Not true. Not true. There's lots of people making an equal amount of money to me right now with way less followers. Okay. So please don't think that lots of followers equal lots of dollars. This is why we teach my creators roadmap once a year, every spring, because what happens sometimes is people build big followings, but they don't know how to monetize it. There is no direct correlation between they've got a lot of followers, they must be making a lot of money. You guys, when I had 100,000 people on Facebook, I still wasn't making over $100,000 a year. Complete transparency there. So please don't be fooled by the number of people that are following someone. And there's apps out there that if you wanted, if you're like, I really want to know what some of these people have for followers, you could, if you want to, you can go buy an app. I used to subscribe to, I think it was called Social Insider. I used to have an account with them and you pay for it basically a month. And then you're able to like kind of keep track of a couple different business pages and you can see where all their followers live. You can see if they're English speaking. That kind of gives you a little bit of a clue if their followers are legit or not. At this point, I don't care enough about any competition to actually subscribe to any of that. But if you're really feeling froggy and interested, go do that. So another vanity matrix, people talking about how many people are on their email list. Okay. So I'm going to use myself as an example because I feel like I'm the best teaching tool and I don't like outing other people. I'll out myself. So we recently hit 99,000, I think it was 400 email subscribers. And I was like, yes, team. Woo! Yes. Thank you, Jesus. We're going to hit 6 figures on the email list. Yes. And you guys who are in any sort of my coaching with me, you know, I'm always pushing you to get your email list, get your email list, get your email list. Somebody recite back to me why. Because you don't own your Facebook, you don't own your Instagram, you don't own your Pinterest, you don't even really own your email list. But if you don't have a website and if you're not collecting emails as a way to contact people, what are you going to do when the world blows up and Facebook and Instagram are down for the day? I mean, seriously, you've got to have a way to contact people outside of social media. Okay, so I digress. And remember that I came to figure this out through personal experience when I lost my Facebook page for 3 days. I lost it for 3 days and I had no idea how to make any sales during that time. So you've got to have an email list. So an email list of 100,000, like that's a big deal. It felt like I should buy cake or something. You know what I mean? And instead, what we did is we wiped out 30,000 of them in like 30 seconds. Here's what we did. We ran a scan on my email list, and anybody that hadn't opened an email from me in the last 90 days, we purged them from my list. So we took my 99,000 down to, it hurts just to still say it, down to 60-some thousand. I got this, team. I've got this. My team's like, we don't even want to tell you how many. And I'm like, just give it to me. Just rip it off fast like a freaking Band-Aid. 30,000 people. 30,000 people. I'm like, just don't tell me. Why did you tell me? But the truth is, an email list of 100,000 sounds swanky as heck, right? Well, who the heck cares if 30,000 have not opened anything from me in 90 days? Because here's what happens. Every time I send out an email, we use Ontraport, by the way, for our CRM, our contact record management system. That's what we use to send out our emails. And so Ontraport, the way that they do billing is anytime you send over 100,000 emails in a month's time, you get dinged for $99 or whatever. So especially when we're in launch mode, man, we're sending out hundreds of thousands every month. So cha-ching, 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 I am now paying to send out emails to people who aren't even opening it. So what's my point here? My point is, clean out your list, guys. It's another vanity matrix. It may be making you feel like a rock star, and you're going to feel like you're standing on the internet naked when you wipe out a third of your list. But the truth is, you don't need numbers that make you feel good and that pat you on the back. What you need is dollars in the bank. What you need is freedom in your time and freedom in your finances. You don't need beefed up numbers that make you feel good and make other people impressed. Those aren't things that matter. They certainly don't matter towards eternity. So if people are telling you how many people they have on your email list, I want you to ask them, how recently have you purged? Because those people who are on your list, who haven't opened anything in a hot second from you, they're dead weight. They're dead weight. So biggest trend right now is people talking about how much money did they make? Ooh, this is where I have to remind myself, Jen, tread lightly. Jen, watch your words. Measure your words. You catch more bees with honey. When it comes to influencers, big names, people making big dollars on the interwebs, they're showing you their belts and their planes and their cars and their whatever it is that they're showing you. Okay. I need you to understand when they're telling you that they have a multi-million-dollar business a year or an 8-figure business a year or whatever, when they're telling you those things, what I always say to myself is, but how much did you keep? But how much did you keep? Because, okay, let me give you some fast math here, okay? Let's say somebody did $1 million in revenue last year, but they spent $100,000 in Facebook ads last year. They also launched a couple of courses and had to pay out several $100,000 in affiliate income last year. And oh, by the way, there's taxes and they have an assistant. Now that million's down to wah, wah, wah. Do you guys understand? Are you catching what I'm throwing here? Like, I understand what you made, but how much did you keep? How much did you keep? I didn't realize until I was in a meeting recently that the industry average is for people to keep 25% of their revenue for the year, which means of that $1 million, it's the industry average that somebody keeps $250,000, meaning that's their salary for the year. That's what they're taking home. And when I did the fast math on our business, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for being over average. Thank you for us being overachievers over here at Team Allwood. So I hope that that's helpful for someone, because if you're like doing the fast math right now, because you're smart girls do math. Remember, I did math bees back in junior high. I want you to look at what did you bring home? What is still in the bank? Not what did you make? Who the heck cares how much you made? What did you keep, girlfriend? I want you to have the guts big enough to ask somebody, but what did you actually keep? Because I don't care what people made. What did you bring home? What were you able to put in your kids' college fund? What are you able to save back for retirement? What did you pay off right now? Do you still have debt? Because if you're making $1 million a year and you still have a car payment, ooh, got a problem there. That is not Dave Ramseying anything. So thank you guys for grace and laughy faces. I'm like mortified right now. Mortified. If you made $100,000 at your boutique last year, but 50% of that was in product cost, what did you take home? Not what did you bring in, but what did you take home? What did you keep? On our last launch My goal was to hit $1 million on our last launch. We did not hit that. And I'm fine telling you guys that. We hit $750,000. But a huge chunk of that went to affiliates. Now, I did not realize that it's a lot of people are paying 40 and 60% of their launch out to affiliates. And I'm like, what? Affiliates make up about 15% of our revenue is all. And I'm really happy with that. I used to feel like, oh, well, that kind of stinks. That kind of stinks. No, I'm actually okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. And so I want you, when you're thinking about launching your course, launching your membership group, launching all of the things, do the math on it. Yes, you could do $50,000, but if you have to pay out 60% of that to your affiliates, then I'd rather you just did a $25,000 launch and kept it all. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. You've got to figure out what numbers really matter. And please don't forget taxes, you guys. People be out here talking about how much they're making all over the place. Yes, but taxes takes a huge chunk of that. Please never forget that. Taxes, ads, and affiliates, and staff. Those are like the huge 4 chunks of change that nobody wants to talk about. Okay. People are talking about how many people they have on their team. That leads me nicely into this one. They've got a team of 10 people. They've got a team of 20 people. They have a team of 30 people. Unimpressed. I'm totally unimpressed by how big your team is. In fact, I would be more impressed if you could run your business with a leaner team. That's the truth. We run this organization here at Team Allwood. I go ahead and tell you what the revenue was last year, if that's going to make you all feel better. But we have 5 of us that are full-time employees. 5. We have several contractors, but we have 5 employees. We run a pretty lean team because everybody here at Team Allwood, they know what their job is. They know what they have to do. They do their job to the nth degree, and we don't need 20 people. I don't need to tell you I've got 20 employees to make you think that our business is very profitable. It is very profitable with 5. Does that make sense? People forget that when you add more people to your team, now you have more liability. Now you have more, when things are turning over, that's always interesting. Now you've got more things to look at with insurance. You've got more pressure. Now you got to be more of a leader. So don't be thinking that, oh my gosh, I can't wait until I run a business with 40 people. Why? Why do you care about that? That's not a gauge of a profitable, thriving business, the number of employees. It's not. It's not. How many products do you have or things that you sell? I've got 40 products that you can buy. I have 10 courses and 4 membership groups and blah, 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 blah. That is not either an indication of a healthy, profitable business. In fact, I'd rather you have one thing if you are in the online space and selling something online that you go so deep with that people can buy from you. Do you know that right now you can only buy 3 things from me? You can buy my monthly coaching group, and you can't even buy any of it right now today. None of it's open. Wait, paint finish of the month is, which by the way, my paint finish of the month is where I teach people how to paint. We bring in guest instructors every month. And I have thought many times about, is this still relevant to our business, Lord? But the thing is, I keep seeing God's evidence in that paint finish of the month of how big of a blessing it is for the instructors that we're bringing in. So it really has nothing to do with me at this point. I don't spend any time in there. And it's really more about us being a blessing to other really creative people who are kind of like really good kept secrets on the internet, and giving them exposure and giving them an audience and giving them an opportunity to do something like instruct that they've never done before. And so many of them are coming back to me saying, Jen, that's the first time I've ever made a tutorial. And now I'm opening up my own group. And I'm like, yes, Lord. Jen, I've never taught people before. And now I'm going to have my first paint party in my community. And I'm like, yes, Lord. Okay, well, keep it going as long as you say. So right now you can sign up for that, but that's aside. You can sign up for my inner circle a couple times a year, which is my monthly coaching group, which has well over 2,500 people in it. You can buy my Creators Roadmap 6-week-long course in January. You can buy a ticket to my conference when it comes open in the next few weeks. That's it. That's it. There's no other way of you giving me any money right now. I don't have anything for sale. And there's a lot of people that are telling me you need more for sale. No, you don't. You need to get really stinking good at the few things that you offer. Get really good at the few things. The first time that we did the Creators Roadmap, I remember it was a $25,000 launch. And then it was I'd have to go look. I think it was 55,000, and then we jumped to 128,000, then we jumped to a 500,000, and then almost $1 million launch. Like, we just kept going deeper. It's not like we're like, okay, let's do another thing on top of it. No, we kept refining it, making it better, figuring out who it's for, and just kept relaunching the same thing at a better version of itself. So for those of you who are like, I need to offer more things, possibly not. Possibly it's not. That is not the sign of a fantastic business. Instead, why don't you really work on really making good the thing that you already do? What else? Travel. Let's talk about travel for a second, shall we? I think that there is this misconception right now in the online space to think that the people who are traveling all over, the road warriors, are super successful in business. And if they want to do that, God bless you. Go to the glory of God. For me in my house, that don't work. I have 4 kids who call me mom that I need to be here for, and a husband who likes to see me on occasion, because turns out I'm not a horrible wife. Thank you, Jesus. And so I have zero desire to be traveling all the time. Zero. Now listen, on occasion, I too am tempted to think, I know, but people aren't seeing me at all these events. They're not seeing me at the next thing. They're not seeing me in this city at that social media event and at that, business and event and at that thing. And I need to do that in order to look successful. No, I don't. I can sit right here. I can tuck my kids in bed at night. I don't have to feel like I have to travel in order to be successful. And you don't either. And that's a word for somebody today. Somebody just, I hope, grabbed that, because that was not just for me. This is the thing. I get asked to speak quite a bit anymore. And a lot of times when I give people my speaking rate, which has went up exponentially in the last couple of years, instantly people are like, okay, you're outside my budget. And I'm like, that's fine. Because here's the deal. When you get asked to speak, you've got to take into account your time away from your family. Yes, you're only on stage for 1 hour, but you were gone for 52. You were gone for 52 hours. You had to get up, get packed, get your butt to an airport, because I hire a driver at this point. I don't drive myself because ain't nobody got time to be trying to find a parking spot. And then I lose my parking spot, and then I lose my peace. And then I come home non-peaceful and blah. So when you get to the airport and your plane gets bumped and you're sitting in the airport and you're thinking, I could have been home for 2 more hours with my family. And then you get there and you check into the hotel and you got to get there the day before, so you're fresh in the morning. And then you're there that day and then you do the meet and greet. So you may only be on stage for an hour. But if you ever really looked at your speaking fee and broke it down into how many hours were you actually gone out of pocket, it may shock you. So please don't be impressed by all the travel and all that jazz either, because it's not the stuff that matters. So what really does matter? Can we talk about that? Here's the only numbers that matter to me. Okay. So you need to really sit and think about, well, what numbers matter to you? Because your personal convictions could be quite different than mine. But here's what matters to me. 2 things. How much am I keeping? And how much do I have to work for it? Okay. Because here's the truth. If I keep $1 million a year, but I have to put in 80 hours a week to do it, no, thank you. Not in this season of life. Hopefully not ever. I mean, I love my business. I love it. But I still have a husband, and I have children, and I have friends, and I have a life outside of the business. And so freedom for me is really freedom in time and finances. And so how much do I keep and how much do I have to work for it? Those are the things that I'm constantly looking at when it comes to opportunities, when it comes to adding new things into the business, when it comes to any of that. We also focus really heavily right now at Team Allwood, not so much on getting new clients, but keeping the ones that we have. I should have talked about this a little bit earlier. When people talk about their groups and how many people they have in their groups, I want you to do the math. Also, when people are talking about how many people they have in their groups, ask them what the retention rate is. Okay, so it's great that you have 2,500 people in your inner circle, Jennifer, but what's your retention rate? It was 96% last month. And if you don't know your numbers, by the way, you need to learn your numbers, because data don't lie. And so if you don't know what your numbers are, it will really give you a peek at how healthy your business is. So we have 2,500 members and 4% of them left last month. Now, when you do 4% on 2,500, you're doing the fast math. You're like, holy crap. Yeah, me too. Me too. But statistically speaking, and I learned this from Stu McLaren, anything over a 90% retention rate is really good, and you really don't need to be concerned. So the fact that we retain 96% of our clients, here's what our team has determined. If we even fix our leave rate. What's the opposite of retention rate? When you leave, what's that called? Our quit rate, our leaving rate. This is a menopause mind right here. This is a menopause moment. If we even bump that from 96% retention to 97%, we don't need to get as many new people the next time we open the doors. Does that make sense? Those are numbers that matter. So it's not always how many people are in your group. It's how many people are you keeping? And what's the revenue coming from the group? Yeah, you may have 200 people, but you've got 20 friends in there for free. You've got 14 instructors. You've got some people that you let in originally at $9.99 a month. Don't do that. And now you've got the rest of them at $17 a month or whatever. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Please don't be impressed by the wrong thing, because that's not what matters. So we're focusing really hard here on Team Allwood. How much do I keep? How hard do I have to work for it? And how can we keep the people that we have? And in order to keep the people we have, I'm going to tell you what you need to focus on. You need to focus on connection. You need to focus on serving. This is how I'm going to end this podcast today. There is no fancy way of retaining clients. There's no fancy way of building connection. Connection comes from you doing the things that develop connection. Doing Facebook Lives, doing Instagram stories, even though you may not want to. I don't care that you don't want to. I don't want to eat kale today. And guess what? I'm going to eat kale today. I mean, I didn't want to brush my teeth this morning, but as a grown-up, you just do some things you want. So as a business owner, it's precious that you don't want to go live on Facebook and you don't want to do Instagram stories. But if you want to grow your business and really develop a relationship with your clients, then you're going to have to. Can I get a yes and an amen from somebody way in the back who hates me, but she knows I'm right? So if you're going to really focus on the numbers that really matter and really work on getting your revenue up and keeping your current clients, you're going to have to work on relationship. You're going to have to work on connection. And when other people who have millions on their Facebook page, but are never on there responding to comments, I mean, you can watch the lack of communication, the lack of connection, the lack of relationship. And it's no wonder that Tracy from Tracy's Fancy has got the type of reach that she does on her page. Go check your DMs right now. Actually make friends with strangers. I spend time every single day on my DMs and Instagram responding to people, leaving voice messages, leaving video messages, sending something so that they know it's me and not my team. You want to know what pisses me off? Whew. Here's what gets me fired up. When I respond to somebody's Instagram stories, and I know that they're an influencer and they're busy. I get it. But I know darn good and well that response came from their team because it was a heart. Ooh, that was amazing. No, give somebody more than a freaking heart. If they took 10 seconds out of their day to give you some words about your Instagram story, the least I could do is give them 10 seconds of my day back and be like, hey girl, thanks so much on a video. Now that person is now the next time I have something open, she feels like I just saw her. Listen, if somebody will catch what I'm about to throw, it'll make all the change in your business. Are you ready for this? We are more connected than ever before because of social media. We can connect with, our fourth cousin who lives in another country and was once married to our, other cousin, and now they're divorced. Like, we can find people we could never find before. We can rekindle friendships from elementary school. We can connect in ways that were never possible 15 years ago, but we're also lonelier than we've ever been, ever. And people feel more overlooked than ever. And the depression rate and the anxiety rate is higher than ever. And at one component of this, you guys, I promise you, is people don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. They don't feel like they matter at all. So if you're wanting to grow your business and you're wanting to focus on things that really matter and really count, I'm telling you what, you get in your DMs and you actually respond to people, real life human customers and clients with a real life human you, it's going to make all the difference in the world in your business. Man, I hope this was super helpful for someone today because this was a really fun podcast for me to do. So next week on the podcast, we are talking about how fear does not release you from your calling. This is something I feel like I could be slightly passionate about on that episode as well. So make sure if you don't already subscribe to the podcast, that you hit the subscribe button. And would you seriously, if you think that somebody could gain some value from this podcast episode, would you share this with them? Share it with your sister-in-law who's trying to start her business. Share it with your friend who has a brick and mortar who's struggling to compete with the local Starbucks. share it with somebody who needs to hear some encouragement about their business, because my heart's desire in this episode was really to give you guys a peek behind the curtain so that you're not feeling like your business is lesser than, or that you're never going to be able to make that thing grow. I want you to know what numbers really matter and what you really need to be focused on, and how a lot of what you're seeing in your feed, it's just gross, it's nasty, and it's not a true picture of the health of a business. And I really want you to focus on making your business as healthy as possible, keeping as much as possible, by working as least as possible, so that you can really focus on the things in your world and in your life that are the most important. So, all right, friends, until next week here on the podcast, stay creative. Bye-bye. Hey friend, thank you so much for listening to the podcast again this week. I'm so honored that you're here and that you just listen week in and week out, and that you share the Jennifer Allwood show with your friends and family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, or if you're an Android user, go download the Stitcher app and you can subscribe there so that you know every single week when a new episode releases. Also, if you have any time to leave us a review, these reviews are super important in getting guests for the show and sponsors for the show. And so we'd appreciate it if you have just a second to leave us a review. That would be amazing. Thank you guys again for being here. And until next week, stay creative.